What's up, League of Legends fans, and welcome to another episode of the No FFs Podcast, a podcast where we hit it hard, we hit it fast, we get to that point in every game where the FF votes start coming in, and we find out when that happens. Today, we are taking our first trip to the East. We've not looked at the LCK or the LPL in the past. We're going to dive right into the LCK. I've been waiting for this moment because I saw the stretch where SKT would have to play 3 of the new teams in the LCK. They'd have to play Sandbox, Damwon, and Griffin back-to-back. I wanted to see how they would react to these 3 games, to see how well the new roster is gelling, as well as give us a first taste at how well these new teams are playing. Griffin, we all know, they're the best team in the world. Sandbox is probably right up there with them. They have a lot of good tools. And Damwon, for a new team, isn't doing so bad. They don't have a winning record right now, but they're one of those teams that can stand up to an SKT. We're going to set 15 minutes on the clock. I think we'll be, 3 games. We should be able to start this and get it under the limit. Real quick, a look at the LCK standings. Like I said, Griffin is still undefeated. They took a long undefeated stretch through the Challenger Series and the first start of the Summer LCK split last year. We'll see how long they can go this year. They're 6-0 still. They look unbeatable. And it's really a combination of strong jungler with an amazing mid. If you haven't heard of Chovy's KDA, it's probably because you don't even believe it. It reached triple digits. Tarzan and Chovy just work so well together. Their bot lane is strong, provide a bunch of pressure there, and they're just really smart about how they move around the map. And I think people at this point are kind of scared of Tarzan about how good he is. Right behind him, Sandbox, great bot lane, great bot priority. We'll see that in this game, in the series with SKT. SKT's right there. It's not the clean start that maybe some SKT fans would have hoped for from this all-star roster. We've definitely seen some cracks and reasons why some of these players have maybe struggled in years past. We've seen some inconsistency, especially from Khan in the top lane, as well as Mata. So Mata is, world champ, that guy that's supposed to be able to bring in the strategic mind. We've seen him make some mistakes, and so I'll point some of those out and wonder, and bring that into what he's been doing in the past and what we can expect out of him going forward. I didn't expect Kingzone to do so well. I thought that, the bot lane is obviously good, but I thought, they'd struggle mid around pawn. I feel like the meta has suited him pretty well. I didn't expect that. Like, he's played meta champions really well. He's played, kind of tanky style. As we move towards more mages, I'm a little more worried about pawn. So Hanwha Life I knew would be good. And then you have these teams at the bottom where I'm waiting for one of these guys to separate from the pack and grab that last playoff spot heading into the spring playoffs. Real quick, to plug my socials, I am the host of this podcast. I'm a writer for Esports. You can find me on Twitter at ZingTheLee. That's where I tweet all about League of Legends, all my writing at Dot. Find us here. You can also follow the podcast. So the podcast is at No FFs Pod. That's NOFFSPOD. This Twitter page is all about the podcast. It's all about when we're dropping episodes and what we're going to be talking about. So if you want just to follow the podcast, follow this. Otherwise, give me a follow on Twitter. And we'll get right into the action with SKT versus Sandbox. This is game 1. This was ultimately a 3-game series. And in game 1, I want to concentrate around what SKT is doing in the bot lane. So Sandbox is playing this composition where they should have some kill threat around 6 with Kalista and Thresh. And they also have an Olaf jungler who, in this game, played pretty greedily. Olaf junglers can tend to do that. They play for themselves, they farm for themselves, and in this game, SKT were able to make enough plays around the solo lane and keep the pressure off of their own bot lane of Ezreal and Tahm Kench. It's pretty ungankable, that lane. They're pretty safe. I just want to look at the item count. Now, I know Ezreal has Klepto, so he's down that kind of Keystone Rune against the Kalista, but you look at his first back at 5 minutes and 32. He skips tier and goes Sheen. He grabs the Mana Crystal, goes Sheen. Kalista has Berserker Greaves. It's a 5 CS lead for the Ezreal. He's played out this early lane really well, and we'll see as this gold deficit kind of just stays even between those two. The Kalista never finds that point in the game where she's actually ahead. So this is 5:32. It's Sheen versus Berserker Greaves. We move ahead to 9:15. Right, 9:15 in the game, and it's second back. Now he's got his full completed Iceborne Gauntlet. Still hasn't picked up that tier. Interesting. Greedy play to not have picked up that tier. But Kalista only has Vamp Scepter. So now you're taking a completed item in IBG versus a Vamp Scepter. SKT has total bot side priority. And then we jump forward again. 21 minutes and 26 in the game. SKT, the bot lane backs. He's now got his Mana Moon, his IBG, and he's got his Cutlass against a Blade of the Ruined King and a GA for the Kalista. That's how scared Ghost was. You gave away all priority. The solo lanes won. Khan beat Summit with some jungle help. And SKT just ran away with this one. I mean, the Kalista, once you buy that GA, a second item, you can just never catch up. You're just hoping a prayer that the Ryze in the top lane can somehow scale. This was lost because of Teddy and Mata being safe in the bot lane. And SKT kind of playing around their solo lanes like they always have in years past. Game 2, very, very different game. Clit actually took, some good risks in this one. Got Faker first blood, so we're at 8 minutes in the game. Faker is up, taking Urgot into Aatrox like you would expect and has that kill. Khan is remaining even, Victor into Akali, so good things are happening. And the bot lane is relatively even as well. Ezreal now has Tyr and BF Sword, or no, Tyr Sheen against the Draven who has a BF Sword. So it's a fairly even lane. At 8 minutes and 9 seconds, you have Mata roaming up through the river, and he sees the Sandbox jungler who's playing Jax, on fleek playing Jax, sees him at the entrance. So Sandbox is red side for this one. Sees him at the blue side, Sandbox entrance to the jungle. Great. And then we look at what happens later. So this is 8 minutes, 9 seconds of the game. The jungle's fully warded for SKT. They've got a control ward in the river bush. The only problem is Teddy's got a lane that's pushing in. He's got a wave that's pushing in to the bot lane, pushing into Ghost, and he just wants to stay and farm it. And he stays, and he stays, and he stays. He gets ignited, flash engaged on by the Thresh, and this is just, you can't make this play if the Jax is there. You got to give up that farm. I understand the Draven's going to be powerful, but what's worse, a Draven with a 5 to 10 CS difference? It's tied now. 5-10 CS, whatever. Getting the Draven a kill is super bad for you in the early game because, again, you're not going to win top at 6 because you're taking Victor into Akali. And if you can't win the bot, if you can't at least stay even in bot, then it puts a ton of pressure on that Urgot in the mid lane. And they have a Jax. So he gets ignited, gets engaged upon. Mata tries to sacrifice himself. It doesn't work. Jax comes flying in. Again, they saw the Jax 10 seconds ago. All the summoners are blown, and Teddy still dies. They can't get Clid down there fast enough, and it's just a disaster for SKT. And Sandbox just, they took total bot side priority. They actually have, I think, the highest Drake priority in the entire league, even above Griffin, I think. And they just ran away with this one in the bot lane. Third game, tied 1-1. We have SKT taking kind of a risky comp. Urgot for Faker again, but swapped in the top lane. And I saw some flaws in the way that Faker played that top lane. He didn't seem as comfortable with the minion wave management, with how and when he should have been crashing the wave versus taking it. And then they put Khan in the middle lane on Gangplank to go against Akali. Again, super greedy, not a meta champion, someone where if you do scale till those later levels and you get especially the Sterix, you'll probably be okay. But it's a super greedy type of thing they're going for. This is a play where they have, they think they have bot side priority. So Clid is hanging out with Mata in Joker, the Sandbox support on a ward. He's clearing a ward, and they know that the Ezreal, the Sandbox bot lane, had just recalled. So they think, we have some priority here. It's just a support. Let's take him out. But the problem is you got Gangplank versus Akali in the mid lane. Who's going to be the first one there? And then they also don't know where the Sandbox jungler is, who's Camille, is very, very good. Joker blocks a ton of the damage with the Shen shield. Gets a shield, gets a great taunt. Ezreal teleports in. And this is just a bad play from SKT. This is overstepping, them being over-aggressive. Faker is not in a position to teleport down. Again, some of those issues with him managing the wave. He can't leave that wave in top lane without sacrificing a ton. The Ezreal's the first one to teleport in. Teddy hasn't backed yet. And it's just one of those where it's like, they felt like they could make this play because we're SKT and we're better, but they're not. Sandbox are willing to punch back. They're willing to play around their own bot lane. Eventually, this turns into a litany of kills for Sandbox. Faker not only gives up his teleport, but he gives up a huge wave in the top lane. And now all of a sudden, you turn one losing play for one or two players into losing plays. Now you can't win any of the lanes across the map. And Sandbox, from just this play, they kill Clid very easily. Now Khan and Mata are in trouble. Again, that Faker teleport came in very, very late because of that wave. He didn't want to leave that wave. Mata goes down, and it's 4-2, kills the Sandbox, and SKT never recovered from this. This again, you can't make these type of plays saying, names on the front of the jerseys. It's not going to work anymore. So then they go in the second series against Damwon. Damwon's not as good of a team, and we'll see them recover a little bit. So this is game one, SKT versus Damwon. SKT on blue side, 3 minutes into the game, and this is... what I wanted to see from SKT is what they do against the two solo lanes from Damwon. Because we know Nuclear will scale into the game, but Nuguri in the top lane is one of the best top laners right now in Korea. He's playing like an absolute beast, and he's going against Khan, who's SKT's weak link, to be honest. And SKT set him up well for this one. 3 minutes in the game, Clid's roaming top side. I don't like what Nuguri is doing here. This is too aggressive. He's got teleport and ignite, so no escape abilities other than the E-kick on Akali. Doesn't have 6 yet, 3 minutes in the game. He knows Kha'Zix, his own Kha'Zix had just recalled, and is going bot side. He's not going to be back for minutes, and he's just trying to get this wave to the turret. Khan doesn't let him. Clid comes up, and it's a very, very easy gank for the Lee Sin. So this is just, over-aggressive on the part of Nuguri, not knowing where the Lee Sin was. Honestly, probably should have expected him up here. And, dies kind of carelessly without any mobility. The real cool part is what Clid does from here. So he recalls, and then he runs up, takes a small visit to mid lane, and then he runs up. So Khan has teleported back, so is Nuguri. Still no flash, right? Remember, he doesn't have flash at all. Never took flash in this game. Trusted his own ability. And they just did not expect the Lee to run back up here. This is the great, this is what Bangi used to do to top laners all the time. Punish them on the teleport back, and Clid comes back, gets another kill. And now that the Akali has no TP, this top lane is absolutely over. Really smart move. They now have priority in a lane that Damwon could not give up. And SKT ran away with this one. They have bot lane priority early as well, and ran away with this one. Game 2, this was really interesting because, again, you have a really smart play, top lane from Clid and Khan, where they somehow dive a Scion under turret and manage to do it. 7 minutes in the game. They've got Lee Sin and Jace. And this is the interesting part about this. 7 minutes in the game, Jace has a 9 CS lead. I actually think this is pretty even because the wave is actually coming into Nuguri. Nuguri's outplayed this lane. And you'll see that borne out through the rest of this series. He's outplayed this. 9 CS down for Scion with the wave coming in is a win for Damwon. But somehow, Clid and Khan find a kill on a full health Scion. Nuguri misplayed it a little bit, trying to get a kill on Clid. Missed the ult. Didn't manage to pull that one out. So, kudos to SKT. The only problem is this only reset things. This didn't actually fix top lane for them like it did in the previous game. And Nuguri actually stays in it. And then eventually later into the game, SKT kept making these really bold, send 3-4 men to the side lanes to kill one of the carries. And Damwon's just fine, we'll just take everything on the other side of the map. We saw too many opportunities where SKT would give up major objectives going for these one-off kills on the side lane. I want to jump ahead to 19:15 in the game where we see the perfect example of this. SKT, they're trying to chase into the top side, right? Showmaker's maybe a little overextended on Ryze, but he's got a big Seraph shield. They send, so the first it was just Khan and Mata. Khan dies for whatever reason. Then the teleport comes in, so Teddy's up there too. And this is the thing, it's 19:17 in the game. Infernal is up for 37, and they just rotated 3 people, burning 1 teleport, and lost a guy in a 1v1 in the top lane. And it's just Infernal's coming up in 37 seconds. You have the first Infernal. This is a great way to actually stay relevant in the game. This would have been so important for you to use your resources bot side. And they didn't. And they never reset this bot side. So Faker's going to cover mid, and they gave up the bot side to Scion. And, Damwon roll right in. They have full vision control of this river. and they lose the Infernal Drake for nothing. And it's like, okay, you lose the Infernal Drake and you 1v1 the Rise. Like, you traded 1 for 1. Not worth, not good macro from SKT, not good dragon awareness. They can't just roll into these dragons thing. Again, names on the front of the jersey, we're better. We deserve these dragons. This is something they need to work out. Then you need to be able to focus on other parts of the map where it's smart, where the strong side of the map is. Khan sometimes has to be the weak side of the map. He's not playing that correctly. Game 3 was a mess. This was a mess. We had feeding, kind of inting plays on both sides where key ultimates were missed, didn't play around the power spikes well. I don't know what to say about this one. It would turn into about like a 15-20 minute ARAM where SKT just sat in the mid lane and stubbornly tried to take the outer turret, never got it, and they just kept sacking sideways. But eventually at 30 minutes in the game, we ran out of time yet again. Eventually, at 30 minutes in the game, they do make an aggressive play in the top lane. Once again, I was a little concerned about overinvestment of resources. Ultimately, they do actually get a good fight out of this because there's really nothing to take on the other side of the map. The Cloud Drake's not up for a couple minutes, and it's a third Cloud Drake of the game, so it doesn't even matter. And so, they engage on a Showmaker. He burns the stopwatch, and everyone's teleports coming. This is 5v5 in the top lane. And the interesting thing about this one is Nuguri goes in, he lands the Aurelia ult, but then he doesn't actually dash in. And I believe he had E-stun up. And I think if he could have dived onto Teddy, and then you get some sort of nuclear uses his, Kaisa ult and dashes to the back, and they flash kill Teddy, I think there might be enough damage to take the rest of SKT down. I really think there is, because the Scion's going to be super annoying. It's going to be hard. And the key thing here is Faker actually burned the taunt, the Galio taunt. And so there's really nothing that SKT can do. Mata put out a nice ult, but Teddy's in the back. If you can ever get to him, I think they kill him. It doesn't actually happen. SKT win the fight, health bar wise. They don't actually kill anyone, but they push them off the turret, and they're actually able to take 2 turrets down. And this is just SKT's kind of poke comp coming online, and Damwon just accepting it. Again, this was not a fun game to watch. It was not pretty. It was pretty poor macro, and it was just SKT waiting for the opportunity to go all in. And I don't really love that version of League of Legends. I think that splitting the map is much more interesting to watch. And the siege. They just couldn't stand up to the siege, and whatever it was, SKT finally found their go button, and they decided to go. Now we get to the interesting one. Griffin versus SKT. Game 1 was Griffin, they don't actually have that much of a gold lead, but they just ran away from it. I'm going to hop to 5 minutes and 50 seconds. The story of the early game was Tarzan absolutely controlling Clid. He's taking Aatrox into Olaf, had total vision on the Olaf. They were never in danger of Clid doing anything. And I just want to pause at this moment and look at Khan taking Urgot into Sion. Urgot into Sion is a winning matchup for Urgot. Urgot's probably S+ tier top laner right now. Khan is down 7 CS to Urgot. Now, I know Tarzan's been there, but again, this is some of Tarzan's genius, right? He makes you so afraid of him that Khan has to back all the way up to the lane bush in top lane, recalls down 7 CS, and kind of never recovers from that, right? He never recovers either in lane or kind of mentally. And, SKT do get 2 Infernal Drakes to kind of staunch the bleeding, but they give up a ton of priority mid lane where Chovy takes the minute, or takes the mid outer, kind of just out of pressure, taking the Lissandra into the Rise. And they also have the winning bot lane as well. We're going to jump ahead to about 27 minutes into the game. Yeah, so this is 27:50 in the game. SKT has those 2 Infernal Drakes, and they're going for the mountain. And I just don't understand what this is from Khan. The entire team is there at the Drake pit. He's clearing a wave in bot lane and is late to the play. Everyone from SKT gets engaged upon. I still don't know what Khan is doing. And it's like, you're an Urgot. You're super tanky, right? Like, get in there. They've got Mata. He can save you if he needs to. Instead, the entire team, it started as a 3v4. Griffin ran in as 3v4. Eventually turned into a 5v4 because everyone from Griffin got involved, and Khan just no idea what he's doing. This is just, Griffin being on a team, being on the same page more than SKT is. Them knowing when to push that go button at a smart moment in the game, and knowing that we have we have a 3,000 gold lead, we can do this. And I don't know what Khan was doing. They lost sight of the side. This is simple macro multiple times, and Griffin kind of showed their team coordination advantage over SKT in this key matchup. Next game actually was even worse. So I was really interested to see what would happen in the bot lane. SKT got Cassiopeia, and the price they paid for it was Lucian Braum. We've seen this before in matchups around the world. Unfortunately, Mata screws it up, so it didn't actually turn into a very good matchup. If you're taking Alistar Cass into Lucian Braum, you actually have potential to win. But you have to respect the damage that they can do to you, especially with the Braum Q landing. Viper did a really smart thing by maxing the W. He took W early rather than Q, and for that long-range poke to kind of keep up with the Cassiopeia. And Mata just doesn't respect the power that comes out of Lucian Braum. So we see the replay here, and what Mata does is he's sitting in this lane bush thinking, oh, I'm big and bad, I'm an Alistar, I can do whatever I want. Yeah, if you're stunned, the Lucian's going to pump a ton of damage into you. And he doesn't. The key here is he doesn't wait for the Braum Q to come out before he initiates. You got to find a way to bait that Braum Q, because without that Q, they have so much less damage potential. It's a huge difference. Doesn't bait the Braum Q, initiates on the Braum, headbutt. So now he's got no mobility. He can't dodge anything. He's melee range with the Braum. And all Braum does is turn around, throw out the Q. Now you got one tick. Put up the shield. Now the cast is doing less damage. Lucian dashes in. He's stunned. And this turns into an unnecessary double kill. Again, you're taking Cassio Alistar. There's no reason to go in like this. Just wait. You scale super well. It actually turns into one kill. But from this, like, the bot lane was just totally lost. I mean, SKT never had an opportunity to contest the bot lane. Viper was out to a super huge lead. Chovy was smashing in Faker in the mid lane. And, of course, Khan was doing whatever he does in the top lane. It doesn't even matter. SKT just lost this one. So, what I've seen from this team is, one, they're still figuring out how to play around lane allocations. It looks like they want to play around the solo lane, especially Khan, to kind of prop him up. And that's been fine if he's on a carry. I don't know what happens when that top lane meta eventually shifts. The second is Clid and Faker. They've played really well together and they've helped each other. I think Faker is still playing a little carelessly in the mid lane, to be honest. You've seen a lot of little tiny mistakes that he's been making. He's been dying first blood a lot. I want to see him play safer, and I want to see Clid be able to take, like, that game against Damwon. We went top twice and was unexpected. I want to see him do that and, put that fear into the minds of the opposing jungler rather than be controlled like Tarzan controlled him against the 2 games against Griffin. So you can see a lot of growth out of him. He's done a lot of good things. This is a young jungler that played kind of recklessly in the LPL before he came over, played for JD. And so we'll see a lot of growth from him. And then the third is, Teddy's playing great, but Mata, man, he's making some really questionable decisions in these games. Dumb plays, dumb initiations where he thinks he's more powerful than he is. And this is kind of the recklessness that we saw from Mata on KT. And it's honestly kind of concerning because he's a great playmaker. But in some of these lanes, like, Teddy's good enough that he doesn't need you to be great. He needs you to be solid. And then for you to roam up to mid and make plays there. So, more team play, figure out what's going on top lane, more vision control in the jungle and being unpredictable. And then Mata, you gotta stay safe, man. Stay safe. All right, this is it for my SKT focused episode. Ran a little bit long. As always, I'm Xing Li. I write for Esports. You can follow me at Xing the Li, XingTheli, and I will see you next time.